One thing I was wondering about is what is JP reaction to the mobile game? Like, how do they feel about it? Are they having the same reaction that I have, that my friends have, that people I know that cared very much about this game have? Like, I wonder what's their thoughts and feelings on it. He said, well, let's be honest. We need FFXIV2 and WoW 2, same as they made PoE 2. I do totally agree with that. However, in WoW's case, WoW is an interesting case here. Because while I definitely agree we need WoW 2, at the same time, this specific expansion, The War Within, they've taken a lot of effort to go back and update and fix antiquated systems that the game had been built on for the last 20 years. Meaning stuff like the warband, where they had to go through and give you account-wide currencies, give you account-wide bank, account-wide shit like that. Going into the guilds and making sure that it doesn't matter if you're Horde or Alliance to join a guild, doesn't matter what server you're on to join a guild. They went back and updated those things and changed those things to future-proof them. But, you know, other people have said, well, Blizzard's able to do that for World of Warcraft because they have a much bigger team. World of Warcraft gets a lot more money from Blizzard. And I think that is also very true. And so it's hard to compare apples to oranges here. But I have seen, you know, these kinds of updates and changes, bringing an old game. If you have such an old game, you really have to make these steps and invest the time, money, resources, and stuff into future-proofing it and making it not as dated, because it is a competitive market. And I just wish that Square Enix would prioritize FF14 more and give it all of the money and all the resources that it could possibly need. But the truth is, the sad truth is that Final Fantasy XIV has thrived in spite of Square Enix and not because of Square Enix. That's the sad situation. It's a miracle FF14 is as good as it is. With being in Square Enix, it's almost like this sort of walled garden that it's amazing that the game it managed to be this good in spite of all of the challenges that they face. $90 market board mount win? I know. I don't know what kind of feature they could put on a market board mount that would be worth $90. But honestly, what's the most expensive mount? They have some pretty pricey ones. I think there was one. Usually they'll charge you more for a mount in 14 if it's account-wide. If it is account-wide, and if can seat more than one person. Usually. The Lunar Whale was 28 pounds. I think that's the most expensive one that they ever had. Yeah, I think it was the Whale. Yeah. Lunar Whale seats eight freaking people though. Okay. I wish every mount was account wide. For real. Why are they doing this? Okay. Is 14 the biggest money maker for Square Enix? I think it is. I think so. The Yoshi P said doing this stuff was literally impossible. I know, but Yoshi P says that a lot, right? There's been many things that I personally can think of off the top of my head that Yoshi P first said was impossible, and then later on, they happened. Okay, for example, hats on Vieira was something that was literally impossible because of the shape of the head, and Hrothgar. Hood's hats, that was said to be actually impossible. Different hairstyles for Hrothgar was impossible as well until it was suddenly possible. And then when they first showed the new hairstyles for Hrothgar didn't have ears. I don't know if y'all remember that. Do you remember this? They removed Hrothgar ears on the new hairstyle because they said that it caused clipping. Yes, do you remember when they revealed this? Because it was literally impossible to give you everything you wanted. They were already giving you hairstyle, so you should be happy with that. Yeah. And then everyone was like, what the hell is this shit? Are you kidding me right now? And they're like, oh, well, I guess if we try really hard, then we can make it happen. Okay, this kind of thing happens a lot. That's the reason why. That's the reason why players... We want to ask for more. We want to ask for better in the game. All right, that's all I'm saying. Actually, I can think of another time that this happened when something was impossible, and they actually talked about this in the making of Shadowbringers behind the scenes developer video series on their official channel. This is a minor thing, but it's just another example of this, where they said that it had been literally impossible to make a style of cape like Red Mage got in their AF gear for Shadowbringers. That had a cape. Here, I'll show you a picture. That would be in a different spot than the typical cape. This is it. They thought that that was also literally impossible to create something like that. But then, I think it was actually Ishikawa. I'm pretty sure it was Ishikawa who went over there and was like, oh, well, why don't you do, like, she gave a suggestion for how they could potentially, like, some really creative solution that they could maybe use to make it work, and it worked. Okay. So, that is why. That is just, I can think of a lot of examples of little things like this that, where something was said to be impossible, but it turns out that it wasn't. It wasn't. You think it's a culture communication issue? What do you mean? Not possible just means it would take too much work. I mean, maybe, maybe so. Maybe that's the communication issue where I hear impossible, but turns out it happens later. And so, I don't know. Yeah. I don't work there. I'm not a dev. I don't know what they can do or cannot do. All I know is I would like to see some of these major UI updates that we've been begging for the main game make their way into the main game. That's all. And I think most people can agree with that. Maybe not all of it. I understand maybe there are some things that are just impossible, really. But there's just so much that we need. And I feel like it's so hard to get. I don't know what slows them down or what causes all the difficulty, too. Because, for example, right? Here's an example. Chat bubbles. Chat bubbles, to me, as a player, seems like such a simple thing. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not as simple as I think it is. Maybe there's a lot of shit that they have to do to make this happen that I just don't understand. But I feel like they have been working on this for years at this point. Yoshibi said that they were working on it, like, God, in Endwalker so long ago. And as a player, I don't know. It's like, if modders can do it, yeah, of course. As a player, you ask yourself that question. Well, the modders handled it, like, immediately. So why does it take 10 years, 5 years for these things? I just don't know. I know.